Hello, Mike Young. Tell people out there, what do you think is the best thing about your movie, Stealing Jokes?
What do I think the best thing about stealing jokes is? I think the best thing about stealing jokes is the sentiment of the movie. The fact that comedians oftentimes don't get their due when they're on the road and sort of unprotected and just out there telling jokes, making people's lives better. But I think the sentiment of give us our money or we're going to take it is like the best thing about this movie. It's an awesome, fun revenge tale that every artist can relate to. I think that's the best thing. And obviously the comedic performances of Michael Rappaport, Luke Null, Dustin Ibarra, and Haha Davis.
Right. Okay. And has anyone ever stolen your jokes?
Sure, I had recently had a funny moment with the comedian Brian Callen, who's like one of my good friends, who's in my movie My Man is a Loser, that he did like years ago. And he called me recently. He's like, "Hey man, do you have a joke about everybody on cocaine wants to start a company?" I said, I said, "Yeah, man, I've been doing that bit for 6 years." He goes, "Well, I've been doing it for one." I go,
Oh.
bro, you can't do that anymore. And so he obviously, kind of sometimes comedians, I toured with Callan for a while. So like
Hmm.
maybe he took it, forgot that he took it, kind of ran with it, and then woke up one day and was like, I think this is Mike Young's joke. And so Callan took my joke and I was on his podcast recently and he just, he actually was like, sorry, bro. You can't get mad at him. I couldn't get mad at Callan.
That's wild. At least he admitted it though.
Oh, right to me. He's like, hey, man, listen, I got to be honest. I've been doing your joke for about a year. I was like, okay, great. Now that's over. Like, you can't do it. I'm still doing it.
Fair, fair. Okay. And tell me about kicking off the scripts. Like what was the moment, what was the eureka moment that made you go, okay, this is where I'm going?
You talking about writing the movie?
Yeah, yeah.
I had a few eureka moments. I opened for Chappelle years
Ooh.
ago, and I kind of a few years ago, and I thought to myself while I was at the show, I started counting up the people that were there, and I kind of was like, man, Dave's probably getting like 100,000 tonight, and I'm getting $500 to open. I'm like, this isn't right. And so in my mind, just yeah, obviously I wouldn't do anything, but I thought, is there a safe in this building full of cash? That would be a good robbery. And then I started reading I did a little research and found out like guys like Tim Allen and all the way back to Buddy Hackett, all the way back to Richard Pryor. Guys would get stiffed on the road, and they would
Mm.
always have these stories of a club promoter trying to like instead of giving them money, can I pay you in drugs and vintage coins? And so I just decided, you know what, this is a great concept for a movie that every artist can relate to. And then I wrote it, and then I loved what I had written, and I sent it to the producers, and they came up with the money, and we went and made the movie. So the impetus has always been, I don't want to rob a comedy club, but I definitely want to make a movie about it.
Okay, cool. And how long did it take you to write once you start going?
It takes me about 12 weeks, like usually there's like a contract, and it's like you have 12 weeks to hand in your first draft.
Yeah.
But I'm a pretty fast writer.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty fast writer, so yeah, I would say it's like two. Some scripts take me 2 months to write.
Hmm.
Some scripts I can write in like 4 weeks. It depends
Wow.
if it's at the top of my head or if I already see the movie go in my head. So it varies, but usually around 3 months is like the average time to like get a first draft that you're happy with. And then you go and you rewrite it about 55 times.
Oh my
And then,
God.
and then, and then you hire your cast and then you rewrite that another 55 times because you see funny things that your cast can do that you didn't know when you wrote it. And you go, oh, I got to adjust for this guy because he's so funny. I got to give him some funnier lines. So a script is always flexible, but you really want to, before you start making a movie, you got to have that thing locked in terms of just for your budget and your story.
Oh
But you got
yeah.
to stay flexible.
And I heard his story, I think it was Ernest Hemingway, how he would do it is he would have an outline, but then he wouldn't move on to the next page until that page was right.
Well, that's also Ernest Hemingway,
Yeah.
who probably stewed over like two words in a sentence that needed to be taken out, and it took him 2 weeks to get the words out.
Yeah.
But For me, I definitely do not move forward with anything until I'm happy with what I'm reading on the page.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that sentiment. I don't move because it's too costly. You know, you don't want to move forward in a movie until you think you have the script done. Like it just, you're wasting time, you're wasting people's energy, you're wasting people's money. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can relate to that, but I don't go anywhere until I read the script and I go, every page is great to me. Might
Yeah.
not be great to someone else, but to me, I'm digging what I'm reading.
Interesting. All right. Now to change topics a little bit, how close in your experience is organized crime to stand-up comedy? Because we see that in the film, a little bit of that in the film.
You know, it's not, listen, there's always been shady club promoters and shady owners.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, I have had an experience before where there was some, some underworld figures that owned a place that I got into trouble with. And unbeknownst to me, they were involved in the underworld in organized crime. And so, to be honest, it's not like prevalent, but I've seen it in the past where, the guy's shady that owns the place. Next thing you know, I'm like looking for my money. The money's not there. And I've gotten in trouble with these guys. It's a way longer story than what we have time for.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
let's just say it exists.
yeah.
It existed way more back in the day. I think it's pretty much sort of non-existent at this point. But years ago, yeah, I had some trouble with some nefarious characters in an organized crime situation, and let's just say it didn't go great for me.
Oh no. But it did because you used the fodder for this movie.
By the way, you're right. It actually
Yeah.
went amazingly well for me because I got
Yeah.
an independent film that I think everyone's gonna love. You're right.
It
It
just
did go
depends how
good
you
for
measure
me.
it. You have to look at it differently.
Totally.
Yeah.
At the time, it was painful,
Yeah.
but you're right. What came from it was a spark of inspiration and creation, and I got to make this movie. So, hey, listen, if there's any organized crime figures out there that want to, play around with Mike Young, come on, we'll make a movie together.
There you go. See, I'm like a therapist. These interviews, that's what it's about.
I feel better already, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, well, tell me what do you think about the state of comedy? People like to weigh in on that. Tell what in the year 2024, the day after Donald Trump just got elected president of the United States again. Where do you think the state of comedy is?
Honestly think the state of comedy is going to be great.
Mm,
To be honest, it's interesting because Trump's just funny. I mean, I'm not a fan of his personality, but
mm.
like for comedy purposes, you're about to have 7,000 more Trump
Yeah,
impersonators in the country because he's
yeah.
such a ridiculous character. But I think the state of comedy is always going to thrive no matter what situation we're in. And as
Mm,
long as people don't try to, listen, you're not, I'm not with the cancel culture. I'm not really with the woke culture. I'm not
hmm
with people that are just, that don't want to allow the truth to be told in comedy.
hmm
So for me, comedians, as long as they just tell their truth and say what they truly feel and they're not doing it just for shock value or effect, I'm all about stand-up comedy and I like where it's at.
Cool, cool. All right. So when you have comedians on set, do you feel like they're constantly trying to outdo one another?
Well, yeah, hanging with comedians is just exhausting. It can be exhausting. Like I came up at the Comedy Store in LA, so like hanging out in a circle of comedians, they're all talking at the same damn time and no one's getting to know each other at all. They are like a rare breed of human beings. And on set for stealing jokes, my actors were comedians. Most of them, actually, almost all of my actors have done stand up comedy before. So there were days where I was like, yo, fellas, stop with this shit. Yo, we gotta start getting to work. Like, enough with the ridiculous banter. I know you think it's fun making a movie, but this shit costs money. You know what I mean? We gotta go. So there were moments of trying to get everybody to chill out, but they're comedians. You can't stop them. They're all individual. They sleep till 2 in the afternoon. They rub glue between their fingers. They
Oh,
can't come out of the house. They all got some kind of anxiety disorder. Comedians are a mess, man. But some of us are well adjusted. There's like seven of us.
who's the GOAT?
Richard Pryor.
Nice. What about today?
Today, who's the goat? don't know who's the GOAT today. Everyone's got such a distinct voice.
Uh,
Chappelle, uh, Dave Attell still makes me laugh all the time. Bill Burr's a beast.
yeah.
I'm a fan of Nate Bargatze. Sebastian's hilarious. I don't have a GOAT for today, but they're all. I'm a fan of like the good, the high level. Brian Regan, I love. Seinfeld, I still love. There's a lot of comics I love. Anyone who's got their own unique voice, and tells their story, I'm a fan of.
There's so many. It's true.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the dudes that came out of Instagram and blew up and sell tons of tickets, but they can't do stand up.
Ah,
I'm not a fan of. But by the way, I'm not even mad at them because
right.
I'm not mad at anyone that's making a living,
Hmm.
but they realize quickly that stand up is a beast, and you better be a craftsman if you think you're going to be in this game a long time. So it's an interesting moment.
Yeah, yeah. What's your best joke, if you care to share?
Man, I think one of my best jokes is probably where I talk about dating a woman over 30 and in bed she was incredible. She had a whole drawer full of toys.
Hmm.
I said she had a drawer full of toys. I said I was involved in a threesome. I was the only human being.
Ah, that's pretty funny.
That one pretty much kills everywhere.
Yeah.
I did that in front of 17,000 people when I was opening for Sebastian to hear an arena laugh. That's
Nice.
that's a pretty solid joke, but I got a lot of good jokes. I got to be honest.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there a final thought you want to end this interview with?
Just go see Stealing Jokes on all streaming platforms. I had a blast making it. Michael Rappaport, Jeff Dye, Haha Davis, Luke Knoll, Dustin Ibarra, they all kill it. And if you ever wanted to, if you ever wanted to get paid and you didn't feel like you were being treated properly,
Hmm.
go see this movie. You'll get it.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.